Jabari Panther underrated, or is she trash? Jabari Panther has always been quite an interesting character to me. I've always liked the character in principle. I think her cleanse mechanic is one of the most powerful mechanics in the entire game, and her damage is great. But I've never actually got round to ranking her, right? It's always a champion that, oh yeah, she's great, I like her. Never played her. Until now. So hopefully, by the end of this video, I'll be able to answer the question, is she trash or is she underrated? And if I'm honest, I think she's pretty underrated, but there are a couple changes that I would make to really bring her into the competitive meta of 2025, to bring her back into the limelight. I think that's very possible with a small tune-up. But as you can see here against this Hulk Ragnarok, yes, there are a couple vicious passives that will come into play in this fight, but this guy's got over 600,000 health, and you can see we've entered the hunt now, and he is just melting. We have an enormous crit buff, we chuck off the SB1, and, I mean, he's just gone. He's gone. That's it, 43 seconds. That's madness. She obviously has an enormous damage output, and I mean, basically all of what you're going to see on the screen is evidence for why she's underrated. If you can bleed the opponent, they die, right? And meanwhile, while this is playing, I'll talk a little bit about why some people may think she is trash. We're going to start off with her damage rotation. Well, first things first, you need to ramp her up, and that involves gaining these Huntress charges. Now, you gain those by hitting a stunned opponent. I'm not really going to go into how parrying and parry stuns are being punished by more and more defenders every day, but it's just a very long and difficult process unless you're running the Silver Centurion or Pyramid X synergy, which increases your parry stun, because you can only gain one of these charges once every 1.5 seconds, by which point, you know, or is it 0.7 of a second? Not sure. It has a cooldown, a small cooldown, which means you can't really gain 2 of them or multiple of them per stun. So your ramp up is really slow. It's like parry, 1 hit, parry, 1 hit, parry, 1 hit, all the way up to an SB2. You then need to immediately throw it off to enter the hunt. And then when you're in the hunt, that's your damage phase. You gain an enormous fury, an enormous crit buff, and you just deal enormous damage both on your basic combos, your special attacks, and through DOT. But your window for attack is tiny, right? I always talk about tough defenders on this channel, and if we're talking about what makes a defender hard, they either limit the damage they deal to you or limit the window you have for attack. Jabari naturally has a very small window for attack, right? The duration on that hunt is very, very small. The duration on the Fury in the hunt is even smaller, right? It barely lasts 3 combos, if you're lucky. And remember, she was released long before relics. You can see here, I'm holding my relic so I can extend this wombo combo. Here I throw off the relic and now I get a few more bleeds on the opponent, I get a few more crits. But there you see, Hela throws a special attack, I couldn't go any further, I can't punish the special, my Fury's gone and the Hunt is gone, and now I need to ramp up again. It's very annoying. So if you don't kill the opponent in your insane damage burst that only lasts a few seconds, then, I mean, you're kind of screwed, you've got to go up again. And she's also quite mushy as well. She has a very small health pool, which is fine, but when you have a ramp up that is literally parry 1 hit, parry 1 hit, you can see, yes, I did take a special attack to the face, but I am getting chipped down here. We're not even halfway through this path. We are going to go to the end. But you can see I am taking chip damage to the block, and that's kind of frustrating. It's also frustrating when you consider that you want to be running either the critical rating stat focus or the cruelty stat focus, because that either increases the amount of times you crit, which increases your bleed damage, or you could assume that you're going to crit a lot, pick the cruelty stat focus, and then you realise that actually I can't run the block proficiency stat focus, because that would be helpful for solving this problem, but there's kind of an opportunity cost with that. Then there are the synergies. Now, these synergies are very useful. In the second clip, I'm going to show her with a full synergy team, and we're going to be running Scream, Serpent, and Silver Centurion. Now, what these give her is a cruelty buff while you hit the opponent against the wall. She's going to gain 50% bleed potency with Scream, and she's going to increase her parry stun duration with Silver Centurion, so you can gain 2 Huntress charges per parry, and she's going to get a little bit more crit rate. And I think that all of these synergies could very easily be moved onto the base kit, right? You could move that extended parry duration onto the base kit, no harm done. You could add that Serpent synergy to the base kit, no harm done. Obviously, Serpent by no means is luggage, right? He can look after himself. It's good to have him around. But if you want to buff Jabari, you can very easily move that onto the base kit. Here, I try and kill Hulk, and he just about throws an SP3, which is very annoying. But we do survive, and we're going to be able to end the fight there and then. Right, so her synergies can be moved onto the base kit. Her window for attack is nothing, and she's very mushy. Furthermore, bleed immunity is a very common immunity, right? It was common in 2021 when she was released. We're now halfway through 2025. Like, it is even more common now, and there are plenty of very tough defenders that are immune or resistant to bleed. So what I'd like to see from a tune-up in Jabari Panther, if that happens, is some sort of way to replace that damage output, right? We're getting debuff and damage over time replacements more and more, right, over the years, right? Yelena Belova will deal burst damage, Nico Minoru will replace poison with acid burn, and so many more. Selective pre-fights to choose what damage you deal, like in Ironheart or Scorpion. It's all over the place. And yet Jabari Panther is very vulnerable to this sort of thing, and yet plenty of science defenders, when I say plenty, I mean Thing and Photon, are both immune. And she doesn't really have a very good way of getting around that. The majority of her damage does come from bleeds. Here I do exactly the same thing against Juggernaut, but he dies before he can stand up, which is lucky. Another fight in less than a minute. I am going to have to heal up, but this next fight against Immortal Hulk is going to be very, very impressive. And this fight certainly lends weight to the argument that she's underrated. I've been talking about why she's trash, why nobody uses her, and yet you can see here, this guy's got over 800,000 health. We're going to heal up and then head back in, and you can see when things line up, the meta of 2025 is not lost on this character. She is not lacking in the damage department. She hits stupidly hard. Stupidly hard. Okay, so this guy's got 800,000 health. You can see me here just throwing one hit into parry and then throwing another one just as it's about to expire, just on the off chance that I somehow get another Huntress charge. It might have happened once in this fight, I'm not sure. The synergy really makes it very easy though. And you can see we're going to build our way up to 10 of these charges, and then we're going to launch the SP2. Now, this node had Footloose and a few other things going on, but if you apply a bleed effect, then you place a passive slow, so we don't need to worry about that. Now we're chucking off the SP2. Yes, we do have a vicious passive increasing the potency of my bleeds, but you can see here, that red damage is not soaked up by his gamma rays. I'm very comfortable to push him to an SP3. That Fury lasted long enough to get 2 combos, and I'm already back up at an SP2, and he goes down. 820,000 health. That's ridiculous. 51 seconds. All right. I'm quite excited to kit her out with synergies and show you this right now. So here, again, we have Silver Centurion, Serpent, and Scream. More bleed potency, more cruelty, more crit rate, more parry stun duration. This is what's going to give Jabari Panther that boost that I think will make her relevant. Here, we're going to go through the first 3 fights of this. We want to keep this short, relatively. And yeah, on the horizon in 2025, we have two very tough science defenders upcoming. And to be honest, I'm not even mad about that, right? The science class is in desperate need of defensive representation. Photon has been doing an awful lot of the heavy lifting, and she is an incredibly designed character. Thing also exists, and now we have Spider-Woman kind of doing some lifting as well. But it looks like the High Evolutionary and the MODOK buff are both going to be defensively challenging. And obviously we have Mr. Knight, the Summoner Choice Champion for 2025 on the horizon. He's going to be a skill character. So hopefully we can see some new utility to counter these champions. And look, we're going to get some new science defenders that are going to be very tough. And Jabari Panther is the perfect sort of champion just to tune up, make these changes I've talked about. And suddenly, I mean, she's been in the 7-star pool for a long time. The odds are you have her at least as a 6-star. She's been in the game for 4 years. And she would be a very nice resource for everybody to have. Free-to-play players, pay-to-win, the like. And yeah, she'll just rip it all up because she's very fun. And great animations. I think she's very, very smooth to play. I'm not going to showcase the debuff, purification or cleanse mechanic in this video, although it is very, very powerful, and there are synergies to make it more powerful. You can get even more cleanse passives with some synergies, and that just basically means she's completely debuff immune, which is nuts, right? When she was originally, when she originally came out, that was an odd moment. I just lost the ability to speak for a second. That was what originally aroused my interest, was her debuff purification, because Cleanse was new. Cleanse was new, and it's very, very powerful. It still is to this day, along with Tranquilize, very, very powerful mechanic. And yeah, look, Cleanse certainly is not dead as a mechanic. We can build a champion that is centered around Cleanse, and I think there is so much you can do with this character to make her just incredible. And up next is a War Machine. I will commentate this last fight. I'm kind of running out of yap, as you can tell. But look, this guy has 600,000 health. He's very heavily armored. He's going to try and regen at the end of the fight. We're going to cancel that out with Despair and lots of bleed debuffs. And yeah, you can see here with the Silver Centurion synergy, I can gain 2 of those Huntress charges really, really easily. And yeah, you can see my bleeds, even though I don't have the Fury, whenever I crit, which is quite a lot, they're dealing like 700 damage per second. Now that's helped by the Scream synergy. Scream and Serpent, they're no hardship to bring along. Silver Centurion or Storm Pyramid X, maybe more so. But you can see here we have 8 charges, and my ramp to an SP2 is a lot more natural. Now I have this synergy, I can just do 2 hits, chuck off the SP2, and even though he's got that armor, every single hit crits. That crit buff is absolutely enormous. We're now going to chuck off a Relic Extended combo, and this guy's just melting. I'm going to chuck off an SP1 here. All the healing's getting cancelled, and he's dead. I'm not even running Deep Wounds. Right, I think I run 1 point in Deep Wounds. That's mad. So Jabari Panther, she's definitely underrated. She's not trash. Although, there are a few changes that you could make to make her insane and make her future-proof, right? We have new Science Defenders on the way. And I absolutely love Jabari Panther. I want to see her at the top of the game. I think she's going to be great against those new characters, hopefully, if they can be bled. But anyway, that's just about it for today. So if you have made it this far, then congratulations. You have an attention span greater than that of a goldfish. And bye-bye.